We're joined on MASN All Access by James Madison head coach Marlin Eikenberry. Coach, thanks so much for hopping on.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on.
So you're entering your 7th season and your 2nd season head coach of Chase DeLauter, who is one of the top draft prospects in the country right now. We're going to talk about Chase and what he can do for you in the 2022 season, but you've only had 42 games with him so far because of COVID issues and things going around over the past 2 years. In those 42 games, however, what have you seen from Chase, and what kind of player is he for guys that haven't gotten to watch him play yet?
Well, his freshman year, he hit in the top of our lineup, and he also was our Sunday starter. So he played center field and hit in the top of the lineup. And then it was just easier for us to manage his workload with him starting and throwing 3 or 4 or 5 innings as a Sunday starter. You know, we originally recruited him as a pitcher, and hitting was kind of secondary, and then kind of hitting took off for him in the latter of his high school years and then into his freshman, sophomore year of college. But right now we're using him as a center fielder. He's going to hit the top of our lineup, probably 2, 3, and pitch out of the bullpen for us right now.
How much workload do you expect to give him out of the bullpen? I know that he's gotten a little over 20 innings so far through his first 2 seasons with you guys, but do you expect him to be used in high leverage situations? Do you expect him to use him maybe once a week? What's your plan for him as a pitcher?
Well, the other night he came in and closed and threw 9 pitches, struck out 2 guys, and I think threw 2 balls. So, if he does that, he'll be used as a closing role. I like him as a left-on-left matchup guy out of the bullpen late in the game. Last year in extra innings games against William & Mary, we brought him in and he pitched, 3 innings and got us the win. And he hadn't pitched probably in over a month, but he's always been throwing bullpens. He's always been doing that, and really we've been doing a really good job of just kind of managing his workload as a pitcher and a position player early on in his career. Now he's physical enough to where he can handle it and do it. And it's funny because we always joke around with him. We'll say, yeah, you're a pitcher first. And he just shakes his head. He's like, I'll only pitch when you need me, coach. So that's the kind of mindset he has. He likes to win, so he'll do whatever it takes to win.
Absolutely. Well, Baltimore has a history of using guys in both roles as well. So maybe that's in the future for him, but he is being looked at more as a center fielder and an outfielder, at least by MLB scouts at this point. What kind of arsenal does he boast as a pitcher, however? Because I am curious as to if he has anything beyond a pretty good fastball, which I have seen that he can touch the low 90s with that fastball. Does he have any secondary pitches?
Yeah, he throws a slider and a changeup, but he throws from a different arm slot. His arm slot's very unique. It's almost a straight line arm slot right out of the shoulder, and almost kind of like a slinger type pitcher, but he doesn't really sling it. It's kind of a high 3/4 slot, though. But he does have a sweeping slider and a pretty good change. But his fastballs, he'll run up there pretty good. Scout day last year in the fall, he wanted to throw. He said he touched 95 a couple times on scout day, and I said, "Nah, you're good. We'll see that in the spring." So hopefully he can do that.
Awesome. Well, I know he's got a great eye at the plate as well. Through the first 2 seasons, he's got more walks than he does strikeouts. How good is his plate discipline when he's in the batter's box? And do you think maybe that work as a pitcher has helped develop his eye?
I think he has got elite hand-eye coordination. Discipline of the strike zone is very impressive. Last year, with all the ups and downs we had, our inner squads were me calling balls and strikes from behind the middle of the field during the season because we didn't play many midweek games. And so he would come back saying, "Ike, that was 2 balls off the plate." If I called a strike, I'd sure enough go look on video, and sure enough, it was 2 balls off the plate. And so I joked around about this preseason about how's my zone, just kind of messing with him a little bit. But that's one of the things that makes him such a unique player is that he does hit for power, he does get on base, he can take his walks, he hits for average. And we've had a big debate amongst our staff whether he hits 2 or 3. And I always say, well, he hit leadoff for us because, one, he's either going to drive a ball or get on base, and more importantly, I always tell people, like, you only hit in the 2-hole really once. It's to start the game. After that, it's just kind of revolving time of how our guys get on base. So right now, I have him in the 2-hole to start our season, just because if our leadoff guy isn't on base, well then he's got a high percentage of getting on base, and he can run for a big guy. We never really ran him in a 60-yard dash, in the first 2 years here, because being a pitcher, I was like, I don't want to pull his hamstring running a 60 when he's going to pitch and play the outfield. So we didn't do it as freshman and sophomore year. And so scout day this past year, guys were asking, like, what do you think he'll run? I was like, about 6'7", and he comes out and runs a 6'4". So He can run when he wants to for a big guy, and he really covers a lot of ground in center field. So he's an elite defender, and his hand-eye coordination is really, really high level. And more importantly, when he does hit, he can hit for power. So I think those are kind of the tools that kind of sets him apart from some other guys in the sense of, what he can do dynamically on the field.
A lot of tools at his disposal, and he hit 386 in a shortened sample size for you in 2021. What are you expecting him to improve upon or work at in 2022, even though he is coming off an incredibly productive first 2 seasons with you? Is there any aspect of his game that either you look for him to improve upon or he is looking to work on himself?
I think the biggest thing, we joke around about this all the time with him, but his short game is pretty solid. And so I told him, I said, hey, if every once in a while that third baseman, they do the shift on you or whatever, they're playing back, don't be afraid, to drop one down just to show that you can do it in an unexpected way. So he's worked hard on that. And more importantly, probably the other part is his mental game, just trying not to get frustrated when people do pitch around him. And then more importantly, understand and just go continue to take your walks. I know that's something a lot of power guys and a lot of really good hitters struggle with in their junior years. They start to swing at pitches out of the zone and get themselves out by not taking the walks. And so that's been one of the things I've told them. I was like, hey, just continue to take your walks, continue to get on base, and good things will happen. So our goal as an offense is to score runs. So obviously. He hits a home run, he's going to score runs, he gets on base, and we knock him in, then we're going to score runs. So the goal is still the same.
And from the outside, there's certainly a lot of chatter about him being a great draft prospect. I know he was named to the Golden Spikes preseason watch list. How has he handled the kind of pressure that comes with being discussed as a potential first-round pick? Has he taken it in stride, and has he allowed it to seep in at all, or does he just go about and do his business?
He's very humble. He lives in the moment. I think the last 2 years has kind of made him create that mindset. And he knows how to handle some adversity. I mean, not a lot of people know he went like a 1 for 23 in the Cape to start out his Cape Cod year and ended up hitting 289. So, that just kind of sums him up right there of like, hey, live in the moment and don't worry about, the past. And I think he's done that and developed that. He really came on the scene this summer after summer of 2020. We had the Rockingham County League still played baseball here in the Harrisonburg area. It's probably one of the oldest summer men's league is what it is. And they had college players from all over the country come play in this league. And, we couldn't go out and watch games, but our local news covered it. And there were some home runs he hit with Wood. I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Him hitting home runs with Wood, and you'd hear about it, through the community and stuff like that. But they did cover a lot of his games, and his numbers were ridiculous in that league. But there were a lot of college players in that league because of the pandemic. And so, that was kind of when I first realized he was doing it with Wood, and then obviously doing it again in the Cape. Just really kind of set me to say, hey, not only is he going to be a high on base percentage guy, but he also can hit for average and power.
And he's a special talent as well. And the highest drafted player in James Madison history was just a 10th round pick. We're still a ways away from the draft itself, but do you believe that he could top that? And do you believe he could be a first round pick when the draft comes around?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I do. I think he's got all the tangibles that you want mentality wise, as well as tools wise, and more. And like I said, he's a grounded, I'm not going to say kid because he's an adult now, but he's pretty grounded. And like I said, he lives in the moment, and, he just takes it with stride. Some of the things I was really impressed with how he handled all the publicity in the fall, and then now obviously going into the spring. Yesterday it was a high of a whopping 38, and we're inter squad, and we had 4 or 5 scouts in the stands watching an inter squad at 38 degrees. I started laughing. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that in all my 25 years of coaching, where scouts are going to come watch a kid play in 35, 38 degrees. But they were there, and he just had a lot of eyes on him since the fall.
Well, we wish you guys success, and we wish Chase success as well. Thanks so much, Coach Eikenberry, for hopping on and discussing Chase DeLauter. We really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.